On today's episode of Warehouse Safety Tips, we're going to be talking about preserving hearing in industrial workplaces. So stay tuned. Welcome to Warehouse Safety Tips. If you're a seasoned vodcast viewer, this vodcast is going to be different from most that you watch. It's based around exactly what the name implies, Warehouse Safety Tips. And since the people in this industry are busy, we know that time is money, so each episode will be as short and to the point as possible. And now, with all that out of the way, let's get to the vodcast. On today's episode of Warehouse Safety Tips, we're going to be going over something that's very important, your ears and your hearing. Make sure that you protect it at all times. As with all of our tips that we talk about, make sure that you always follow the guidelines of your specific facility. We want to make sure that you are following everything to not only stay compliant at your facility, but again, to make sure that you're protecting the safety of your hearing. So the very first tip that we want to provide you is using proper PPE. It's something we talk about all the time. In this case, it's going to be hearing protection in the form of, say, earmuffs and earplugs, making sure that you always have got them on in a designated area where it's required. And even if you are just in areas where there's repetitive noise, then make sure that you use it there too, because it's that kind of noise that can cause long-term damage. The next thing is going to be limiting exposure to being in those areas. If you have the ability to do so, go away every now and again to a quiet area and give your ears a rest, if at all possible. If it's not possible, see if there is a potential of rotating positions. Not only will that train you on different areas of your facility, but it'll also get you out of areas that are louder or have more repetitive noise, and it's going to protect your hearing in the long run. The next thing is going to be keeping a safe distance from those sounds. If you know that an area is loud and you can avoid it, make sure that you stay behind all barriers. Make sure that if there's safety floor tape, that you stay behind it and that you limit yourself to those loud areas as much as possible. The next thing is going to be having regular checks. Make sure that you always take part in the hearing test that your facility conducts, especially as you start new in a position. And the reason why is because that way you'll have a baseline and you'll be able to tell the next time where your hearing level is at and if there has been any damage, and make sure that you take any measures to protect that if there is, and to prevent it for the future. The next thing is going to be education and being an advocate for protecting the hearing at your facility. And that's going to come in the form of educating new people that come in, educating current staff to keep reinforcing the ideas of hearing protection and why it's so important. And then, of course, being an advocate, going through and suggesting new PPE that may be available. Also, in the form of PPE, make sure that when it gets used and it's been worn out, that you actually replace it, because having PPE is awesome, but having worn out or overused PPE is not. So make sure that you always change that out. And again, as an advocate, making sure that there's sound barriers, sound curtains, things that are going to limit the exposure to sound as much as possible. So again, you only get two ears. Protect them and make sure that you take safety as a top of mind topic, especially when it comes to things like your eyes, your ears, and your hearing, and things that you only get one of, your hearing, your sight, your back, and things like that. So thank you very much for being part of another episode of Warehouse Safety Tips. We want you to have a great day, stay safe, and here is a word from one of our sponsors.
It's scientifically unexplainable. It's virtually indestructible. And it's taking over the entire planet. But in a really good way. It's Mighty Line Floor Tape, the most durable floor tape in the world. 7 times thicker than average floor tape. Beveled to endure pounding warehouse traffic. And backed with a super strong peel and stick adhesive, so you'll never have to worry about painting shop floors again. Mighty Line floor tape, the only durable stripe.